So I want to know in one word what you would sum up this process for you wearing literally every hat a creative could wear.
Sleep deprived? Is that a single word?
Hello, everyone. I'm Beth Keener, and today I am stoked about sitting down with Edward Norton, who is the writer, producer, director, and star of Motherless Brooklyn.
I just got exhausted hearing it.
I know, I was exhausted saying it. So I want to work from the back, actually. Here you are. You're on your press tour 20
Yes.
years later. So what's happening inside, and what are you thinking?
It's great. It's great. It's when something's rattling around in your head for a long time, it can get like you can want it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it goes in phases. Initially, I got it out by writing it. It was complex, and then you figure out how to put the puzzle pieces together, which in this case had a lot to do with assembling this really great cast. Like I wanted very specific people, and Bruce Willis and Willem Dafoe and Alec Baldwin. These are people. Getting everybody together at the same moment is worth waiting for. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But it feels great. I also, in a funny way, people say lots of cliched things about things happen when they're supposed to and stuff. But I think in watching people watch the film now and the themes that are underneath and within it, I don't. In some ways, I think this film has much more to say about what's going on right now than it would have 10 years ago.
Okay, so you've got all these hats on, and I've watched a few interviews of you talking about that. So I want to know in one word what you would sum up this process for you wearing literally every hat a creative could wear.
Sleep deprived? Is that a single word?
Well, it's hyphenated. I think
yeah.
It is.
It's a bad miscalculation to set yourself up to not be getting a lot of sleep when you're then going to be on camera like each and every day. But then in some ways, it's hard to explain. This character is so unique. He's such, I would say the initial core of the whole thing, the hook to me was him. He's in the tradition of, let's say, like a Forrest Gump or a Rain Man. Not that his unique condition is the same as those, but it is a unique blend of afflictions and gifts that you have never seen. And I think, like those characters, your heart goes out to him almost immediately. You feel a relationship with him in which you're rooting for him in the book, and that's what we tried to stick with in the film. And the complexity of that character, of a character who has affliction that can be painful but also very funny, who gets in his own way but has lots of gifts and real talents. That was sort of such a rich meal for me as an actor that I felt the hard work on the rest of it was worth it, if you know what I mean.
So I do, just to wrap this up, because you are an important man today, but Lionel Esrog, is that how you say his last name, Esrog? So your gift as an actor, and I have been following you since the beginning of your career, so I'm a huge fan. But you resonate so well with an audience, and this particular character, you see that goodness, but you see the comedy. Yeah. And so when you were writing this script, were you like, okay, I'm gonna write for the comedy to give some relief, or do you think that naturally came through the character?
Both, but yes, it's irresistible at times. Because he's self-aware, he knows that he's a hot mess, in a way. You know what I mean? He does, yeah. And I think one of the ways we had a lot of fun was that in the tradition of movies that I think we all love, like L.A. Confidential or Chinatown or The Big Sleep, some of the kind of the American private eye is usually more like Bruce Willis, right? He's slick. He's the guy who knows the angles. When there's a blonde at the bar, he knows exactly the great line to say to her as he lights her cigarette, and everything about Lionel.
OMG,
everything about Lionel, it goes wrong, right? So like when he meets the blonde at the bar, he can't light her cigarette because he can't stop needing to hear the sound of the match again and keeps blowing it out. And it's like that idea of taking a certain kind of a tradition, a character, and then kind of doing the version where he really struggles to be. He's trying to be Bruce Willis, but he's really struggling. You know what I mean?
We're all trying to be
exactly.
Bruce Willis, right?
But that's by the way why Bruce. When people said like, well, who's the real detective? I'm like, Bruce Willis. Like he's the coolest kid in the team. He's like the guy we all want to be. He's sort of the father figure, older brother of Lionel. And I think but underneath of the joking side of that is sort of the idea, I think, that there are people, Lionel, Gugu Mbatha-Raw's character is a black woman in the 50s who's really a lawyer and brilliant, and everybody thinks she's a secretary and doesn't look at her. And so there's kind of I think the idea that like there are people that we dismiss and don't look at, we treat them as invisible, and that empathy and caring for other people is in a way really a kind of heroism we should aspire to more
Amen.
than power and dominance, is I think kind of what's at the heart of this. And I think, and that's where he gives us the chance, I think, to kind of feel uplifted by rooting for him in a way.
Let me tell you, the compassion card you played was incredible, and
thanks.
you did a brilliant job with that, and I could tell that each character was written in that regard. So Edward, thank you
Pleasure, thanks.
so much. I can't even tell you how excited I am about this film. It comes out in theaters November 1st. Get to the theaters because there are few films that you can watch that make you feel all the feels like this film, and then also take you back to 1950s New York and make you fall in love with the city all over again. Thank you for watching.